Marauders, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be installing the mount for the Zumo XT, the Garmin Zumo XT navigation system, and I'm going to be installing it. The mount is here, but there's also another mount that this will snap into that will provide power for it, and we're going to install it here, which really will look nice, on the Husqvarna Norden 901 Expedition. So I have to pull off this mount, and I'm hoping there's power wires inside the dashboard of the unit that I can pull up, figure out which one's the power, solder together, and hook up the mount and tuck the wires back in. That's the job for today. Thanks for coming back to the channel. Hope you consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with a friend. All right, let's get going. Let's get to work. I'm using a 330 Torx bit to pull out the screws on either side of this. Wow, they were really loose. I believe it's only 2 screws that hold it in. I think the hardest part of this job is going to be soldering. And this bike is really set up to be, again, it's, if you're not familiar with it, it's an adventure bike. It's based off the Husqvarna Norden 901, except this has the more aggressive, this bike has a more aggressive WP suspension that's on the KTM 890 Adventure. So it's got a much more aggressive suspension on it, and you can tell when you look at the shocks, if you've seen, oh boy, I'm dropping stuff left and right. You can tell if you've seen my other videos on it, the diameters, it's almost 8 inches of travel on the front and rear end, and it's just a much more aggressive suspension. They didn't aim this directly at the 890, KTM 890 market. They made this more of a touring motorcycle, the Expedition or Exploring, where the KTM has something called an Explorer mode. Woohoo! Oh, do we see wires down there? I don't know what I see down here. Oh, and they have, look at the connectors they have on it. So this may have gotten a lot easier. I'm thinking red, this red and black wire is power. We'll test that with a tester to see if it lights up when I hit the ignition. And I am not, please don't think I'm an electrical master, I am not. So we're grounded, no power on anything on either one of these. Let's turn the ignition on. Bam! Okay, let's get you back up here. Okay, I was right. So the black and red is power. Let's see if it goes off with the ignition. Ba-bam! Okay guys, that's big. Now I gotta see if I have a spade plug that's gonna fit in, or spade connector that's gonna fit in that, because that would make it really easy to do this. Marauders, just is getting better and better. I do have a spade connector that will fit this. That's what it looks like. So I have 2. I'm gonna put a blue and yellow one in there. What I don't like is I gotta pull that. I don't rely on just crimping. In fact, I think just crimping wires together is bad. So I solder everything, electrical connections. I always use flux, and when possible, I use a torch on these wiring jobs. I just think it goes a lot faster, and then also when I get the shrink tubing, I use the torch on the shrink tubing. So I'm gonna hit this. Hopefully you can see this and I don't burn my cabinet. Yeah. And don't be alarmed that you see that the insulation's a little burned. I'm gonna cut that flame down a little bit. Don't be alarmed that that's burned, because I have shrink tubing I'm gonna put over it. So those are 2 soldered connections. Those are 2 good soldered connections. So I'm gonna slide this insulator. So that insulator's on. And then I'm gonna slide that shrink tube up against it. A lot of fiddling to get this right. Let's shrink the shrink tube. Okay, that's it. There's no instructions that come with this But this is the plug, and it's in the back. And in this upper part, I don't even think I can get it on camera because this screw is so small. There is this little tiny screw. I think it's the only thing that holds the plug to the back and to the mounting plate. And it's so small. I think when they did my Ducati, they didn't put that screw in, and in this kit, they gave me an extra one. Then this assembly for these screws is a little shanked shoulder plate. I don't know what that is. Then the bolt or screw, and then a washer behind that. And this assembly goes through the face of the mounting plate like that with nuts, nylon nuts. That's what I turn for it. I'm back. So this is how this assembly should look. I'm not going to show you the whole assembly. I'm going to turn the camera off so I can get this tedious work done. The nut is a 8mm, and it goes on with a Phillips screw from that side. And well, maybe I'll leave the camera on and I'll do a time lapse of this so you can see how I do it. So I wanted to give you an idea of what this is going to look like mounted. This is the Garmin. So this is going to be on the bike like that. And then this will snap into the front. And it's snapped in. And then you depress this lever to release it. New tool I have not shown on the channel. This is a cordless, I'll call it a Dremel tool. A lot of different names for it. First time this has been seen on the channel, Milwaukee, 12 volt. And I want to grind in the face of this a little notch for the cord to go in because I don't want to grind the actual bike, the dashboard on the bike. And I figure it's better to grind this out than the dashboard on the bike. So I'm just going to make a little. So hopefully you can see that notch, and the cord will sit on it like that. Okay, I think we're ready for assembly. So this is the black and red, which was the power, assuming that red is power on the Garmin, although there's no instructions to tell me that. Black is ground, well, and everything is well insulated. Plastic insulators, if you can see that, I'll zoom in. You know what I want to do? I was going to say someone's confident in their wiring wouldn't have to do this. Let's do a test fit with the Garmin to see if it will power up. Let's turn the key. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Hasn't been running in a while. Oh, she's downloading. Oh boy, I didn't want to do that. You know, it's amazing. It went from, the writing on it was Italian, that when I plugged it into this bike, it was Dutch or Swedish. Sorry. No, it didn't do that. I was just kidding. That's a joke. Okay, so it looks like Marauder barely knows how to wire, but he knows enough to get this wired. Okay, let's finish this job. They give you so much wire with this installation that you really don't need. And they do give you a lot of zip ties. They don't give you any instructions. Probably another download off the internet. By the way, I hate that. We have this neatly bundled together. Like so. Let's put another wire tie up here. They give us so many. I'm hoping to figure out, I don't know, I'm looking for a really good navigation system. And if any of you know that has seasonal roads on it, Garmin doesn't. I don't think they have an app to download. So I may be putting another navigation system on this. Boy, this bundle of wires is obnoxious. Let's see if we can get it down in there. So we're plugged in. Woohoo, guys, I love it. Wow, Marauders, did we do a good job? Wow, I don't want to say it. You don't want to know what I'm thinking. This is a better wiring job than that's on the Ducati. I said it. Wow, I'm gonna cut this. I'm gonna fasten these screws. Wow. If you can see how it's mounted, it came out really well. See the little notch for the cord? Most didn't have that aligned. I'll pull the plug off it. Gotta be careful not to spray water up in there. Okay, let's put the Garmin on. That's secure. Let's give you a good look. Turn the key. It's doing a boot up. It's interesting. And I did download new software for this. So guys, she works. I love it. It's nice looking, isn't it? We did a good job. I did increase the brightness on it. For some reason, the settings were set to dim. So I increased the brightness and now it's going through an upload and you can see how that looks. It looks really nice. I hope I can find a Garmin unit similar to this one that has off-road riding. I'm gonna try to contact the company directly. I would definitely buy it. Ooh, doggy. All right, Marauders. We're testing the Garmin setup on the Husqvarna Norden Expedition, the wiring job, and the angle, hats off to Husqvarna, one for setting up the angle of the GPS mount at the perfect angle, and does it look great next to the instrumentation panel. Just looks outstanding. So the mount is fantastic. As you can see, this road is kind of rough. I ride through some bumpy sections of it. And the mount doesn't move, the dashboard doesn't move. Everything is very stable. So that's a huge plus. Boy, this quick shifter is like butter. Focus on driving. My God, what a beautiful day for a drive. So I would say the navigation system is a huge win. Hats off to Garmin for developing a great system, and Ducati for having a not Ducati, it says Ducati on the Garmin, and Husqvarna for having a great navigation mount on this bike and having all the wiring there that I could just hook into it. All right, we'll get you back into the shop to close out this video. Thanks for joining me. See you in the shop. Marauders, thanks for hanging out with me for this installation. The Garmin GPS mount, and I think it came out really well. It helps when, I should say, I bought the cable for the mount and the mount from Amazon. It was nice that they had those parts readily available. I think I got it in 2 days. It's nice that Husqvarna had the wiring all set up to power this unit behind the dash. That made it really easy. I would say I knew the hardest part was going to be the wiring. Everything else went very well. Thanks for watching the video. Please consider subscribing to my channel, liking the video, sharing it with a friend. Please, let's respect each other. No matter what our religion, race, political beliefs, we should respect each other. We have that right. They have different opinions. That's what makes us interesting. Thanks, Marauders. I hope to see you on the trail. Thanks for watching the video. I think it came out really well. I turned up the brightness on the monitor too. She's a doll. Woo! Oh, she is a doll. Like those LED lights. Thanks guys for watching.